Thank you so much. So just for an introduction, so my name is Rebecca, and I do, again, work for a recruitment agency based out in Toronto. I do specialize in recruiting for accounting, finance, HR, and operations and IT positions from the junior to senior level across the GTA. So welcome, everybody. Over the past 10 years, I've also spent a number of time just recruiting for top talent from executive search all the way to globally based recruitment firms, as well as from the consulting and trades industry. So prior to my current role, I actually worked for a non-for-profit employment services agency where I facilitated numerous networking events and job search workshops, webinars, and helping over 200 plus internationally trained professionals relaunch their career in the Toronto region. So today, many of them are leaders in their respective organizations, and I can't be more proud. So on a part-time basis, I do work as a resume and interview coach for a career advancement program for internationally trained professionals at University of Toronto for a program called Business Edge. Outside of work, I also do enjoy traveling off the beaten path to experience different cultures and meet local people. So some of my favorite destinations include Egypt, Jordan, India, Turkey, Thailand, Chile, and also Portugal as well. So I look forward to sharing with you some of my insights today, and I just want to really thank you, Toronto Jobs, just for inviting me to be part of this session. So we're just going to get right into it right now. So just before we start, can everyone type in the chat where you're actually logging in from? Where's everyone located right now? Great. So it looks like people are kind of logging in from all over the world. That's very exciting. So I wanted just to just start right away. So just in terms of our presentation today, we are going to be speaking about resume and networking tips from a recruiter. And can everyone see my screen? Perfect. So for our agenda today, I wanted just to share what we're going to be speaking about. So first, we're going to talk about why a great resume is so important. I'm also going to go through some of my top resume don'ts. Also just going through the general resume structure as well. Top job search tips, also some tools to give you just to target your resume as well, just to get past the applicant tracking system. Some common mistakes just with regard to reaching out to recruiters and hiring managers, how to write a good introductory email, and also networking tips, just mostly on LinkedIn. So it is going to be a very power-packed session today. So please do bring your notebooks. And if you do have any questions during the session, please do type in the chat, and I will do my best to answer that at the end of the session, time permitting. So first question is, why is having a great resume so important? So the first thing is first impressions are extremely important. That is what recruiters or hiring managers would view first before meeting or even having a phone call with you. So how do you want to view in the first place? Having a good resume also shows your seriousness and professionalism towards finding a job. So taking the time to craft out a professional document that you want to present to employers and also show that you care about the job that you're applying for is very important at this time. Another thing to also keep in mind is also COVID-19 has really taken a toll on the Canadian job market, and I'm sure all over the world. And the unemployment rate is very high. So having to stand out from other applicants is of utmost importance right now at this time. And any grammatical or spelling errors can really cost you. And the most important thing is really just to get you an interview. You want to increase your chances. There are not a lot of great jobs out there sometimes. So why not increase your chances of getting an interview by having a great resume? So in terms of some of my top resume don'ts, so this is from my own opinion and also from the Canadian style perspective. So here are just some of the tips that I can share with you. So first of all, having more than 3 pages is not encouraged here. So if you have 2 to 3, that is 100% fine. But unless you're a very senior level, I don't want to see more than 3 pages. Please also do not include graphics or tables. Those also do not go through and are tracked in our applicant tracking system. So if you are putting in graphics and tables, it's also very hard for us to find those keywords in your resume. Also, just be aware of unnecessary bolding. So bolding meaning bolding certain words to draw my eye to that are not specifically for bolding. So for example, if you did put in, I like to do systems of this specific, like say for example, Excel, you don't want to just bold Excel. Also just not put in capital letters other than the names and the beginning of a sentence. So being able to actually write in capital letters is fine, but not bolding and capitalizing everything to draw my eye to. Colors and highlighting are also not encouraged. And grammatic and spelling mistakes, as we mentioned, is not allowed. So please do use spell check. And using and versus and is also something that is very common. So please just use and not the sign and. And we'll talk about targeting the resume a little bit later in terms of the job you're applying for. And also just make sure that you don't have any inconsistent formatting or font size. Other things that I have noticed just within my 10 plus years of reviewing resumes is also when you're sending a resume to me, please don't include the following. So do not include your date of birth, your marital status, your nationality, your passport information, your work permit, visa information, and also your references as well. If references are actually needed, I can always ask you for that information. So please do not share a lot of this information other than just your resume and perhaps your cover letter with me. So let's take a look at an example of a don't resume. Okay. So when you actually take a look at this resume here, just so I know whether or not you are listening, can anyone type in the chat what they see wrong so far or things that should not be there? I see graphics. Yep, I see post, applied for icons, lots of capitalization. Yes, highlighting. Yes, not proper formatting. What about that? We also see a lot of tables as well. And this resume is very long. It actually goes on for about 10 pages. So I won't take the rest of the time to do that. But as you can see, a lot of bolding, lots of color, and also just a lot of inconsistent formatting. There's also a lot of personal details here as well. So first name, passport. So in general, I just wanted to give you an example of what that would look like in terms of a don't resume. And if you have that, don't be discouraged. This is a great time to really know what not to do. And now we're going to talk about what we can do. So a general resume structure, we want to just look at what it entails. So we do have an objective, a profile, areas of expertise, relevant expertise, education, and professional development. So I'm just going to go really quickly through these sections. And I do believe this session is recorded. So if you do want to refer back to that later time, you can definitely do that. So just general resume do's. Make sure that your font size is consistent to about 11 to 12 points. Also for your font style, just try to have it in the Arial, Times Roman, or Verdanda format, and do not switch between formats and fonts. For pages, I would say, again, 2 pages, unless an exception can be made for 3 pages if you're at a senior level. Always write in third person. So do not use I. You always use the third person. And then also make sure that in terms of past and present tense, if you are currently working somewhere, use the present tense. If you're not currently working and you're describing a past position, please do put into past tense. So let's talk about the objective and your header. So some of the elements to include here is your arrival date, your work status, the city that you're relocating to, your first name, destinations, email, phone number, and LinkedIn profile. So here's an example of a good objective and header. And what's good about this, it has the first name and last name. It's got your email, your LinkedIn, your title that you gave yourself, and your phone number as well as your address. So phone number and address are okay, even if it's an international number, just in case I did want to call you for any questions, at least I know how to contact you. The objective is very important, especially if you are in pre-arrival stage, because I don't know when you're coming and what your status is. So if you just send a resume just stating that you're currently, for example, from India, I don't know when you're coming and when to plan, to hire you. So it's always good to put that out there and just say seeking full-time or contractual employment opportunities in the city of location would be Toronto, Ontario, in the areas of your field, accounting and finance. My planned arrival date is July 2021, and permanent residency status has been obtained. So that gives me a lot more assurance of who I am speaking with, right? And what kind of jobs I can consider you for. Your profile statement, that would be the next session, would be to include 3 to 4 full sentences about yourself, your title, industry, experience in years, top skills, as well as accomplishments, and speaking in third person. So again, an example here would be a really nice little blurb just about yourself. And this one you should include, say, for example, experienced full cycle accountant with 10 plus years of experience working in your field, right? Mining and exploration industries. And then after that, you want to provide a couple of your main expertise that you want me to focus on. So I'm good at building strong relationships, working with multiple stakeholders, strong expertise in budgeting, financial modeling, business decision-making, variance analysis, forecasting, as well as month-end, general ledgers, bank recs, etc. And then I'm really good at analyzing complex financial data, etc., etc. So just a 3 to 4 sentence blurb about yourself is a nice summary, like a little commercial about yourself. And then we go into the areas of expertise, and this is my favorite section because this is where you can put a lot of the keywords that you see on the job posting in this section. So in this area, please don't include a table or a chart or anything like that. Just write in bullet points. And usually I like to see that in 3 different columns, and I'll show you that in the next example. And then you want to include some of your job and industry specific skills. So based on your job description, take a look at what those main skills are, mostly on the qualification section. You also want to talk about the key knowledge that you possess, and also talk about your hard skills only. So when I talk about hard skills, that's something that is measurable, something that is teachable, something that is quantifiable. So you also want to just make sure it's 1 to 2 words per bullet point. So when you look at this example here, you can see that this person put in 12 different hard skills that they're really good at. And this section can really be modified depending on the actual job description. So in this area, he was really good at Oracle, at Hyperion. These are systems that are needed for accounting. Maybe he's really good at IFRS. He's really good at reconciliations. He's good at MS Excel. So looking at these, we will come up in the word searches a lot more if you actually list your areas of expertise here. So I hope that makes sense. And then in terms of the relevant experience, this is where you actually put in your job titles as well as your responsibilities. So I say relevant experience because a lot of us have more than 10 years of experience in doing a lot of different things, but only put in up to 10 years of experience that is relevant to the job. So if you've done something in marketing and you eventually moved into finance and the job is in finance, there might not be a need to actually include the marketing experience there. So you want to make sure you're also focused on both your functional responsibilities and your tasks, and also some of your achievements as well. One thing I also wanted just to note is also just to modify your job titles to match the Canadian equivalent. This is a tip I always give people that are new to Canada. Sometimes you might be called a finance officer, and what does that mean here, right? Maybe that's a finance manager. So I would suggest going on some websites like Indeed.com and really taking a look at some of the job titles and then trying to see what is your equivalent job title in the Canadian context, and then putting it in brackets what that would be. So I will show you an example later on about that, but I think that will also help you come up in the word searches as well. And if you're working at a company that is not as well known, you also want to just add a short description under the company about what that company is. Is it a public company? Is it in manufacturing? Where the office is? So there is a lot of things that you can really draw attention if you work in an industry that you're wanting to apply for. And of course, include numbers. If you're accounting or finance or any other fields that have a lot of numbers to show for, don't be afraid to include them, but make sure that they're in Canadian dollars. So let's take a look at how everything comes together. And I'm going to show you the resume all in one piece. Okay. So as you can see here, this is everything that I cut up for you in our earlier examples. So this is a resume example, how it looks like. So you see the objective, you see the profile that we went through, areas of expertise, and then you see the relevant experience here. So as you can see, this individual put in, I won't name the company, his location, and where, and he's currently working there right now. He is an accounts officer, but he did research that he is an accountant. And as you can see, these are very accounting related responsibilities. So he listed a few here, and then he also put in the key accomplishments that he had. So that really draws my eyes to kind of what you've done well. And it draws my attention to also find out some more about those things, especially during the interview. So as you can see, we keep going. He's got key accomplishments, and then there's more experience here. And then for his old experience that actually was from 2005, 2009, you can see it just says previous positions held, and then you can just list them. So if it's over 10 years and you're out of space, you can definitely just list it there. And then at the end, we talk about the education and personal development, which we don't have time today. But again, you can list your education here as well as any of your licensing. And even that, this person with 10 plus years of experience, it's 2 pages and it looks perfect. So everything in terms of formatting, it's got the right font, the same spacing, everything is spell checked correctly. Wouldn't you hire this person? Looks really great. So it's always important to talk about when and what. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with everyone, just in terms of a good resume as well. So just in terms of job search tips, there are a few things that I did want to talk about in terms of just in general. So one of the things I wanted just to ask you in the chat. So what percentage of skills should you be fitting the job description? Does anyone know what that percentage looks like when you're applying for a job? Yes, Karthik, you actually got it right. So it's 80%. And what I mean by that is 80% is with actual working knowledge, right? So not just with head knowledge or I can learn, but if you actually fit a job 80% of the qualifications versus being a quick learner, you have a really good chance of finding and getting an interview for that job. My next question for you, true or false? So I should apply for as many jobs as possible to increase my chances of getting something. True or false? The answer is false. So I always think of this as quality versus quantity. So if you are looking at something and it's not 80%, you should not apply for everything and anything that says, for example, accounting. So I'd rather you focus on 2 to 3 jobs a day instead of actually going through every single job and then just applying blindly, because sometimes it's not the right position or maybe the right level. And I will go into that as well. Another thing, just in terms of applying within, I just wanted to mention to just really make sure you apply within 1 to 3 days when the job is posted. When something is fresh that is posted out online, we get a lot of applicants. So within 1 to 3 days, you want to make sure that you are putting in your application there so that I can take a look at that. In terms of job applications is why I wanted to make sure, because you don't want to apply for every single job. If you are someone that's more senior level, don't apply for just entry level and everything, but maybe 1 to 2 levels lower than your most recent job title. So that's a great tip I always tell people, because when you are out there and they see that you are applying for a junior level position and you're a senior executive, they might see that you will leave the job within 1 year. And that's a lot of money that they have to train you. So sometimes I find that if you actually do that, it's more important to actually apply for something that is 1 to 2 levels lower, and then you can eventually get back to where you are. Okay. And then we'll talk about targeting your resume, but you have to make sure that you do target that for every job. So in terms of that, let's talk about targeting. So you want to make sure that for every job posting, you include the keywords from the job description, as well as your hard skills and soft skills. So I just wanted to share a couple of tools for you to try. So one of the main tools that I really like is called Jobscan.com. And there's another one called Word Cloud. And I use, there's a website called worditout.com, and I'll just show you how to find those keywords here. So this is a very interesting tool that I'm going to show you. So when you actually go through I'll just show you here. So when you actually go to jobscan.co, this is actually free when you register an account, and I believe you have about 25 free scans. So what it does, it actually finds out the different keywords on the actual job description, and you can compare it with your resume and then see what you actually compare to. So when you actually go here, you see I have already pasted that for the interest of time, just in terms of the job description here. And this is an accounting job description, and this is the resume of the person that I gave as an example. So when you actually press scan here, so it looks like that you only match about 46% of that job. So I won't go into all of this. You can play around with that and you can take a look at that link, but they will show you in terms of what you're missing in terms of the applicant tracking system for the keywords and different areas to give you some tips for this. And I really like this tool. I find it really helps you get through that system. It also talks about the word count and also some of the hard skills that are missing. So as you can see here, they were missing ad hoc reports, general ledgers, maybe reconciliations. So there are some other skills that we're missing that they're looking for. So then that way it actually gives you some more tips in terms of what to add, and also some of the soft skills as well. So this really helps you really get past the ATS system a bit more and better chances of getting hired. So that's one tool that I just wanted to take that time to show you. And then the second tool is also called Word It Out. So here, again, I actually pasted the job description here. I put in the experienced senior accountant position, and then I generate something called a word cloud. So as you can see here, you can see that there is a lot of bigger words here. So what that means is these words are actually in this section a lot more. So you should add more of these in your resume. So for example, if it's financial, if it's controller, intercompany accounts, processing reports, anything like that. So I do personally like Jobscan better, but this also hopefully gives you a better idea how that looks like. Okay. So just in terms of common mistakes, I wanted just to share a little bit just before we do finish up. So when I say common mistakes, everyone makes mistakes when reaching out to us and hiring managers and all that. But my message today is really just to make sure that you are targeting, your messages to everyone. So one of the things I always see is people from overseas or from anywhere just mass emailing everybody in the agency or in the company. And there's hundreds of us, and we see your emails because it goes through our system. So you want to just target 1 to 2 people that really help you, and also just make sure that you're also researching the company as well in terms of job postings and knowing that they are hiring for example, accounting and finance positions. So not researching the company and job posting, just randomly sending the resume. If you're an engineer applying for an accounting firm, there's no point, right? You're not going to get noticed, and you also annoy the recruiter. Mass applying for every job also doesn't work. We talked about that. Telling the recruiter you're looking for anything is not great. If you're an accountant and I'm looking for a general laborer, are you going to work that? Maybe not. So you have to be specific, again, targeted in terms of what you're looking for. Sending multiple attachments, as we mentioned, is not great. I also have about 2,000 unanswered emails in my inbox right now, and it will clog up and it will also annoy me. So please just only send your resume and your cover letter. And again, incorrect spelling and poor formatting as well. It's never good. So I don't have a lot of time left. Alex, I don't know if we can have an extra 5 minutes or so, just because I know we did have a bit of a late start. Okay. So just in terms of that, I wanted just to share a good email that is written to me. And one of the things I want to just really quickly mention is to really start with "Dear Hiring Manager," and that's the main thing I wanted just to say. A lot of people say "Dear Madam," right, or Madam Rebecca or Mr. Rebecca, although I'm not a man. And that's actually not appropriate. I know that it's very different in different countries for addressing somebody, but please just say "Hi, Rebecca," or "Dear Hiring Manager." So that way it's a lot less formalized. And also be specific and targeted. If you see a job, just refer to the job ID as well. There's a lot of different jobs, like an accounting job. So I don't know which job you're applying for and which one you're referring to. So I wanted just to show you a really quick example here. So just in terms of this, okay, so this is just a quick example of something that I would not respond to. As you can see, it's Rebecca Madam, lots of colors, very messy. And I don't know which job, accounting job he's talking about. And he included his birth certificate and everything else in his email. As you can see here, as a comparison, this is a very nice email when it actually talks about, what he's looking for when he's immigrating here, his permanent residency, his position in India. And he looked at the job and he found job ID 43251 and told me which one and said it really nicely in an email. So that's an email that I wanted to share that would definitely be looked at versus a lot of other places. People just send something with multicolors. I just don't feel that that's actually really great. Okay, so just in terms of just some final tips just on LinkedIn and networking and all of that, when you're talking to anyone on LinkedIn, just make sure that you are sending us a targeted message. I have about 300 connection requests right now from all over the world, and nobody's telling me when they're coming here or what their intention is. So are you looking to work with me on maybe a presentation? Are you looking to hire me? Or are you looking to actually find a job for me? Or you just like my posts and you just want to follow me? So please do state your intentions in the 200 or 300 words there are. Other things you can see here, just don't be negative in your post. And also just in terms of commenting that you're interested in every single thing that I post. I think that is to be targeted. And also just make sure you introduce yourself after I accept your request. So reiterate and thank the person for accepting your connection. And then just lastly, just in terms of networking tips, just make sure that you do like or comment on articles or posts from hiring managers and recruiters. It's a great way to stay in touch. And it's nice to refer candidate names. So if I'm posting something and you're not a good fit, why not refer your friend? I think that's also a good way to get noticed and also stay in touch with people. It's okay to be proactive and ask for information meetings and virtual coffees. And also make sure you attend virtual events like these to really ask good questions and interact with other attendees and speakers. Don't just apply online. Really make sure you interact and keep in touch with people, even if you're not here yet. And again, just really keep in touch and share information and articles, be active, share events, and of course, let us know when you land and we'll be very excited for you. So that's really it that I do have in terms of my presentation here. I know it is very short, but please do, if you have any questions, I don't know if we have time for a question period here, but that's probably the end that I have. And then at the end, just if you want to add me on LinkedIn, here is my link, and let's stay connected. So just thank you everyone for your time. Great. And just to answer your question, yes, there are lots of, there's going to be a recording available after this as well. Does anyone have any additional questions just before we finish? Because I know we are starting another session very soon. I know this was very jam-packed. Okay, great. Well, I just want to thank everyone for your time. Thank you so much just for your patience, just regarding a little bit of our technical difficulties as well. Just in terms of sample resumes, that's something that if Alex or Toronto Jobs wants me to share a bit of a template, I'm more than happy to do that as well. And otherwise, this would be on the recording. You can see the template on the recording as well. Thank you so much, Alex. It was also a pleasure just speaking, today. And I do wish everyone here all the best with your landing and just in finding success here in Canada. So thank you so much, everyone, for the time, and enjoy the rest of the conference. And definitely connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know when you land here. I'll be very excited to meet you. Okay, thank you so much. Bye, everyone.